Good evening, this is the Oscar expert here with Brother Bro, and we are going to talk about how many Oscars we think Us is getting nominated for. So we actually just saw the movie yesterday. We were thinking about doing a review, but as many others will agree, it's definitely a movie that seems like you need to watch it twice. So I don't feel like I'm ready to give my thoughts on it too much just yet, but I think that we can speculate, now that we've seen the movie, about how well it may do at the Oscars. I mean, I'll spill the beans a little bit. So basically, I feel somewhat mixed about it. I definitely think it's a good movie. There's a lot to appreciate. I didn't like it as much as I thought I would. Some of the themes didn't resonate that as well as they could have, maybe because like the character drama wasn't really as fleshed out as it was in, say, Get Out. The more I consider different ways to interpret it, the better I like it, actually. But also, I think there's some things about the movie that are hard to forgive. The symbol, what everything represents, is kind of on its own world. And then there's everything that happens with the characters, and they don't necessarily feel like they're working together. So I can't have that like totally satisfying feeling about the movie. But, maybe I just need to look at it differently. Overall, the movie was really fun and entertaining. I would definitely recommend still seeing it, even though I'm being critical of it, because it's a really fun movie to talk about. It's a Jordan Peele movie. And it's a Jordan Peele movie, so it's made, it's unlike other movies that are going to come out this year. Still processing and it's still figuring out details, so why would you not want to go see a movie like that? I'm not sure. Oscar speculation, was kind of hoping to come out of this movie thinking, okay, Lupita Nyong'o is going to do what Toni Collette could, and she's going to take it to the Oscars because of all the hype. I am now a skeptic of that. I don't see that happening, to be totally honest with you. I thought her performance as the double was pretty amazing. I just don't think she has better chances than Toni Collette in Hereditary.
I will say,
I don't know why we would bet on it.
The character where she's like is more interesting. I mean, not more interesting. Like, I think that the second viewing, I'm going to get more out of like her regular person performance, but the best acting, in my opinion, is like the weird creepy shit, and like that's not like Oscar scene, unfortunately. Like, well, even Toni Collette had like those family drama, like, recalling like past trauma scenes, which are actually very like dramatic, like drama Oscar scenes. Nothing about Lupita Nyong'o's performance resonates to me as Oscar bait.
It's not Oscar bait at all. It's not Oscar bait.
I know, it's not Oscar bait, that's the problem.
I don't think it needs to be Oscar bait.
Well, I think that they like to see, like, drama in the performances.
I think overall it depends on how the movie grows on people, and so, like, this performance can grow on people, especially because she's playing dual characters, and so if people are going back to the movie and seeing that this really works and the way she's playing, like, each one works,
I think that is gonna
then I think people could try to hype her up. I think she'll get some nominations in precursors. Maybe she'll get a Critics' Choice nomination for Best Actress.
At the Oscars, I don't see how Toni Collette couldn't get it, and then Lupita gets it.
No, I agree. I think she'll miss the cut at the end, but I don't think it's impossible. But she wouldn't be in my top 5 right now.
No.
But if it's somehow not as crowded as last year, maybe. But
it's such a weird performance, though. Like I was saying, like even Toni Collette had family drama and like grief to deal with. It still lends itself to like the Oscar bait performance, and Lupita's performance is so great, but it's so strange, and some of it's like literal like croaking and like it's just very odd of a performance for the Academy.
Well, I think ultimately people have to like the movie. I mean, maybe that's why Hereditary didn't get nominated, because people didn't like Hereditary because it was freaking weird. So I think it just depends on whether people like the movie. Will the Oscars nominate this movie at all? I think is the real question here, Cole. I think that's the real question here. Will they give it a single nomination?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. So when the movie ended, I said, I don't think this is going to get any nominations. And now, this might be like, obviously when we saw Get Out, we didn't think so. But now that this movie has the expectation of Oscars because his last movie did, that doesn't really exist, like the idea, oh, this couldn't get Oscars because it's a horror movie. No, it could get Oscars. But I think the main issue is this. People come out of the movie going, scratching their heads, right? Get Out, while it had some mystery to it, that scene towards the end, 5 minutes from the ending, is like the biggest like crowd-pleasing moment of the year. That movie is just so feel-good in a lot of ways. And this movie has you coming out, scratching your head, thinking like, what did I just see? And obviously the rewatchability will, help that. But
I still
don't know if it'll help, but I think that's
a lot of people,
something
like
to see.
the average audience member, might be just a little more puzzled by the movie. And and the fact that it's getting compared to Get Out is generally not considered as good. Some people.
Here's why I think it has less of a chance, to say the least, than Get Out. Get Out confronts the racial themes head on. Us, it is about America and society and our relationship with different classes. But it doesn't confront those things head on. Those are subtexts of the movie. In Get Out, race is not a subtext. It is what the movie is. It's confrontational. I actually think that's what makes Get Out a superior film, and possibly one that will be fresher in people's minds over time.
I wouldn't say that this movie won't last well. I think this movie will last well.
No, it'll be
and
fine.
The more
It'll be
time
fine.
that it wine people,
but
will
it's not going to
dissect
have
it
a
more.
cultural impact. Do you understand?
Yeah, right.
Get Out was like the first film to take on this subject matter in this way. Us is a horror film which contains subtexts. They're explored in a unique way, but they're also not. They're not front and center.
I would also say that the fact that this movie is just such a horror, belongs very much in the horror genre, where Get Out was sort of a blend of genres that made it kind of interesting. Something like that, or The Sixth Sense, or Silence of the Lambs, where it's you could kind of call it a horror movie, but is it? And this movie's yep, it's a horror movie. It has a lot of action, and I think that kind of movie doesn't get in as much.
Ultimately, I think Us, the way that people consider it, the aura of the movie, is going to change over time, so it's hard to say. Right now, it's a very, very good horror movie that has a lot to digest.
People are processing.
I don't know.
Is it a great movie?
Also, though, but is it an important movie? Those kind of questions are gonna be things that people are not. They're not gonna be sure. The critics are somewhat mixed on the film. Mostly, it's positive. People are recommending the movie, but a lot of people have issues with the movie that prevent them from loving it, and maybe they're gonna hold on to those nitpicks or those things that just don't come together for them. A lot of people are having these kind of problems, and that could hurt its chances for Oscars at the end of the year.
I mean, let's also break down some of the categories. So we broke down actress, but you've also got a lot of people are really talking about the score. And I think this is somewhat likely just because of the buzz it's getting. My viewing of the film, I wouldn't have guessed that it's getting the kind of buzz, but there are some scenes where the score really does stand out. I don't think it's getting in, but then again, if the score category is not that strong, maybe you could get it. I think it's one of the more likely categories, actually. Any discussion of sound and editing and sound mixing, I don't think is real. I don't see why that would happen. It's not A Quiet Place. Screenplay, again, if it doesn't get in picture, it doesn't get in screenplay because it's a movie that people feel is maybe uneven or flawed. So that would hurt it in screenplay and picture. And of course, director, which it won't get unless it gets screenplay and picture. Winston Duke, supporting actor, I see some hype for him. No. I loved his performance in the movie, but it's just not going to happen. Intuitively, I just don't think it's going to happen. It just isn't as wholesome as a movie as Get Out. It's leaving people with a lot of questions. Do those kind of movies get nominated for Best Picture? Do straight up horror movies get nominated for Best Picture? Not really. So
what will happen is it's going to pop up in some precursors, but it's not going to carry it all the way into the Oscars.
It could maybe get a screenplay nomination without picture.
Yeah, maybe. It depends if the category's not competitive.
If the category's not competitive, what is original, obviously. What I think is most likely to happen is it gets shut out. And people might be upset about that, but that's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, I kind of agree, but I feel like it's a coin toss as whether it gets shut out or gets some nominations.
Yeah, it gets score, screenplay, or something. What do you think about the score possibility?
I'm not confident that it's going to get a score nomination, to be honest. I don't really think they nominate scores like that.
Editing, cinematography, some of the technical elements that people think have been enhanced since Get Out. I'll agree with that the editing and cinematography are very good. But again, I don't see it happening. I just don't see it happening. What do you think Us is going to get nominated for this year? Do you think we're flat out wrong? Stay tuned for if we rewatch it, we might give a little review of the movie too. Thank you for watching.